you so much, Habib, Preeti, Ayman, Janine, and Yumna for the last panel discussion. I think we had a beautiful, long day with a lot of interesting ideas and thought for us to go home and really think and continue this debate beyond this room, and maybe next year to come back and continue this December annual conference that we had. I will give the floor to wrap up to Anita, who is our partner in organizing this. So Anita, the floor is yours. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarine, and I'm glad that AGBU has initiated this initiative, and I'm glad that Isam Faris Public Institute Policy is partnering with us. And I would like to take this opportunity just to wrap up. First of all, I want to thank all the audience for your patience and for staying around with us. And I've said earlier today, all your interventions, your contributions will be the recommendations for our next year's edition. Just a summary, I'm so thankful for the first panelists who put us in the educational context. Then I'll move to the second panel. I loved what the civil society's panel did. And I'm sure many of us were cringing their feet and we're going to some uncomfortable topics. But hey, that's the whole point of this. We want to be the platform to bring here some uncomfortable topics. We want to all be uncomfortable at some times. I love the saying, let's agree to disagree. And that's why it brings me back to another point, which I always tell my children, and I will tell each one of us. And I'll always remind this, especially in forums like this. Just look around our neighbors, our neighboring countries, and let's never, ever take our freedom of speech for granted. That brings me back to our wonderful media panel, freedom of speech and everything that you do. In my earlier introduction I mentioned today, you are our loudspeakers for what we do here collectively. Today we try to bring the education, we try to bring the civil societies. And when I was thinking about the plan for the media, and I was like worried all the time, and I was telling the moderator, just make sure we don't have overlap. Oh boy, what was I thinking? Each one of you covered something, and I'm sure there's a plethora of things that we could have still covered. So I promise, you're always gonna be around, and you have a lot of responsibility to do. Albeit I know you disagree with me sometimes. It's not only your responsibility, of course, but you have a lot to do. Because even if we do a lot of work, but nobody highlights on them, I don't know how successful that would be. I want to close by saying once again, I couldn't have been prouder to be presenting today AGBU. For 112 years, my organization, that I can't be proud of, has been leading our nation educationally, mentally, with its own programs. We're not political, but we believe in state building. We believe in the nation building. And today, once again, I owe it to our leaders, the leaders of AGBU and the President Bert Setrakian, who is now unfortunately couldn't make it from New York today, because yesterday he had commitments. And being part of Lebanese as well, I know always his heart is here. He wanted to make it, but he couldn't make it for professional commitments. Yesterday, our headquarters in New York, they had their initiative. And I have to mention here, due to the urge of Mr. Setrakian, that it's our ethical responsibility as Armenians, as AGBU, that he put it on our shoulder to also reflect and use this day as a platform to reflect on other human rights violations. Yesterday in our headquarters in New York, by the way, Lebanon was pioneer in leading this initiative last year. This year, New York is following suit, and there is our Europe chapter in Paris. They have their event again in human rights violations, how to stop killing, on December 9. Once again, thank you very much. Another just minor point. Look at this wonderful panel, and if you remember the earlier panel, we were very conscious in order to have the gender representation. I'm giving you cues here. I'm giving you slight cues and hints for our next year edition. I'm going to keep you contemplating and wondering, but believe me, it will be equally interesting. I look forward to seeing you all here again. Once again, Thank you, wonderful speakers. Thank you, partners, collaborators, and all of you for your support. Together, we can do far more than we can do individually. It is responsibility of each one of us. Thank you. I know you're eager to go home. Can we just have a final picture with the speakers who are here and our board members, please? Professor Keith, I spotted you somewhere. Have you disappeared?